Hello, I'm Sophia Lou and welcome to my channel. Hello guys and welcome to this week's challenge video. This week, after my discussion in my sketchbook Sundays, I decided it'd be awesome to do a complementary colour challenge. The first thing I'm doing here is I am just lining out my illustrations that I want to do, and then I make a little colour wheel, put my pro markers in a tub, and then randomly choose a colour palette for each illustration. So what are complementary colours, people may ask? Complementary colours are pairs of colours which combined cancel each other out. That means when combined they produce a grayscale colour like white or black. When placed next to each other they create the strongest contrast for those particular two colours. Due to this striking colour clash, the term opposite colours is often considered more appropriate than complementary. When pairs of colours are considered to be complementary depends on the colour theory one uses. So it solely depends on what different types of colours that you are going to go for, and they tend to be completely opposite to each other. So if you are after a colour which is completely opposite to the colour that you're after, and to create a nice strong graphic contrast between them, this is probably the best model to go. So you'll notice after I've inked all these, I created a sort of colour wheel, and I colour matched this colour wheel to a colour wheel that I found online, and it's essentially your opposite of red is green, your opposite of blue is yellow, etc, etc, etc. And it's very interesting to see how to combine these colours when used. So I've not seen anyone online do this, but I really want to see what people do with a complementary colour challenge. And the best thing about this is that anyone can do it. You can do it traditionally, you can do it digitally, and because the complementary colour challenge, you can change up the hue and saturation. They don't have to be these bright colours. You can add a little bit darker, add a little bit lighter. The only rule is to use the opposite of the colour. So I would say probably choose a random colour, say purple, and then its opposite is an orangey yellow, and then go from there. I had an awful lot of fun with this. Some colours together are a little bit how would I say this? Some of these colours put together are a little bit too clashing for me, and I don't particularly like these colours together, but it was interesting for me to see how they work. So why are colour challenges considered a challenge? Well, the reason why I consider them a challenge is because you are forcing yourself out of your comfort zone to try something that you haven't normally done. And you guys know I do love a good colour challenge since I've done the primary colour, the tertiary colour, the secondary colour, pastel, sepia. I've done a lot of colour challenges before, and this is just simply because I love doing these sort of challenges. So you can see I've done my lines here, and now I've got this little colour wheel that I've made with all of my pro markers in, which match the colour. And essentially what I did was I spanned my colour wheel to help it let me choose a random colour. This colour wheel obviously wasn't the best for me to do this because it kept falling off, but it was interesting for me to try out these different types of styles. So the orange colour that I chose, the opposite was a very blue colour, almost it was like a bluey green, and it was interesting for me to see how these blend together. In order to get some lighter palettes, I used some pencil crayons over the top just to build up the deepness that the pro marker was just sometimes a little bit too strong. So in order to be able to build up a nice slow layer, I used up the same colours but in WH Smith pencils. In case anyone's wondering here, I am using Faber-Castell mixed media paper. I think the fun part of this challenge is to try and see how the colours would react to each other. There are palette challenges that are constantly available online doing very complementary colour styles, and I think this is an interesting way for you to try out, and I really want to see what you guys do. Make sure to tag me on Instagram and or Twitter to show me your results of the complementary colour challenge. The reason why I did 4 pieces instead of just the one is because I wanted to see what the colours would look like all together. In the end, I actually did end up doing 6 of them, but I only ended up filming 4. I'll post the other results up online as well when this video goes up, so that you can see how I got on. I also used white gel pen to just bring out some white areas a little bit more, and I deepened my line work a little bit just to get more of a graphic, bold design. And I think if you're going to go for these colours, I think the best thing for you to do is to think of like a graphical image. Yet again, spin the wheel, and the colour is mulberry and bright green. This was probably my least favourite colour combination, just because I simply just could not get on with the colour palette at all. I think it's because pink and green are so far opposite from the colours that I normally like to use that I was really out of my comfort zone here. But yet again, it was interesting to see the colour variations that I could get. By blending the green marker on top of the pink, I was able to get a very interesting shade, and then opposite same again when I was using the pink marker on top of the green. It was just creating a very interesting effect, and I really did enjoy this. For this one, I did end up using a lot more white gel pen, just because it was really difficult for me to break up such a bright colour because it is so vibrant. So in order to create that sort of like breakup between the illustration, I added a little bit more white gel pen than I normally would and thickened my lines. I think the key part is with this is if you're not going for a paint-to-lose style with the colours, is to really go for like graphical. So for the next one, I span the wheel and I got plum and I got yellow, and I think this one might be my favourite colour palette. The orange and the turquoise was really nice to use. Actually no, the night one is probably my favourite. Speaking of, these characters are actually from nothing. They don't have a story up behind them. So what I want you guys to do is, what do you guys think their story would be? We've got a like very wicked witch, we've got a joyful princess, we have a mysterious mage and a crying knight. Like, what would the story be behind them? Like, what do you envision that their story would be? And if you could choose what complementary colours to do for this challenge, like, what do you reckon you would do? As with any colour challenge, the goal is for you to practice with colour, and not so much for some people it would be a challenge. It's just more testing signs of like colour theory and like really broadening your horizons when using colour. I tend to always use the same palette, and I get comfortable with the same palette. So doing palette challenges really helps me see what my different colour variations could be. For example, I really enjoyed the yellow with the purple just because the colour contrast was so high. And then the next one was Prussian and gold, and this is quite possibly my favourite colour palette just because I really love the contrast in between these two colours. I think when we get comfortable with the colours that we're using and get comfortable with like the palettes that we're using as well, it's good to step outside of those horizons and like invest in something that you wouldn't normally do. Even if you don't end up using these colour palettes in future illustrations, it's good even as just like a warm-up. It's just good to push yourself out of your comfort zone and to try something a little bit new. While some people may not see these as being pushed out of their comfort zone, you definitely are pushing yourself in terms of colour and variation. So I do actually urge anyone to try this colour palette challenge and just try something that you wouldn't normally do, because it is definitely a lot of fun. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and let me know like what story you would make up and like what your favourite colour palettes are. Mine in particular is anything to do with like blues and purples and pinks. I just love that colour combination so much. And let me know if you want to see any other colour challenges from me. Personally, these are my favourite types of challenges, because even though they may not be challenging in the sense that they are like pushing you completely out your comfort zone, I think when you are doing something that isn't your norm, it's a lot of fun to try out. So here's a few final looks over the illustrations, and I'm just showing you the markers that I use for each piece. Overall, I'm really happy with this challenge. It's definitely something that pushed me out of my comfort zone in terms of colour, but I definitely had an awful lot of fun with it. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this challenge. I hope you try this out yourself. As always, make sure to tag me, let me know. I'm really interested in seeing like your results of this challenge, and I'll also post up my results from the other two colours that didn't end up making it into this video. I don't know, I have a lot of fun when I'm pushing myself out of my comfort zone, and I think it's always some, you know, good old fun. So as always, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. I hope you have enjoyed this video, and I hope it sort of informed you a little bit of like colour palettes and trying out something that's a little bit out of your comfort zone. Enjoy, like, comment, subscribe, and as always folks, stay creative.